Most people who decide to start budgeting give up within 2 weeks. Not because they lack discipline, not because they don't care about their finances, but because the budgets they are using are fundamentally broken. They are asked to track 40, 50, sometimes 60 different spending categories. Groceries separate from dining out. Transport separate from car maintenance. Streaming subscriptions broken down by platform. Entertainment categorized by type. And within 2 weeks, sometimes 10 days, the whole thing collapses. Not because life went wrong, but because no human being can sustain that level of complexity alongside a full life. The solution is not more discipline. The solution is a better system. Today, we are going to give you one of the most respected personal finance frameworks ever developed. It takes under 10 minutes to set up. It requires no apps, no spreadsheets, and no financial background. And unlike every complicated budget you have tried before, you will actually be able to maintain it. It is called the 50-30-20 rule, and by the end of this video, you will understand not just what it is, but exactly how to apply it, and the mistakes that cause most people to get it wrong. Let's get into it. Number 1. What the 50-30-20 rule actually is. The 50-30-20 rule is a budgeting framework built on a single, powerful idea. A budget you can remember is a budget you will actually use. It divides your take-home income into 3 and only 3 categories. 50% goes to needs, 30% goes to wants, 20% goes to savings and debt repayment. That is the whole rule. 3 numbers, 3 categories. 1 question for every dollar you spend. The rule was developed and popularized by U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren and her daughter Amelia Warren Tyagi in their book, All Your Worth, published in 2005. It has since become one of the most widely recommended budgeting frameworks in personal finance, not because it is new, but because it works. Think about every budgeting system that has ever asked you to track individual categories. Every spreadsheet, every app, every notebook. The reason they eventually fail is not the person. It is the granularity. When you have to decide whether a dinner out counts as dining or entertainment, the system has already asked you to do more cognitive work than most people can sustain. The 50-30-20 rule replaces all of that complexity with one question. Is this a need, a want, or does it build my future? That is a question any human being can answer in under 3 seconds, about any purchase, in any moment, without an app. 3 decisions, not 47. That is why this system outlasts everything else. Number 2. The 50. Your needs. 50% of your take-home income is allocated to needs. This is the money that keeps your life operational. A need has a specific definition in this framework. It is not simply something you spend money on regularly. A need is something that, if you stopped paying it, your ability to live and work would materially collapse. Clear examples of needs: rent or mortgage, electricity and water, groceries, basic food to sustain yourself, transport to and from work, health insurance or essential medical costs, minimum required debt payments. The 50% is a ceiling, not a target. If your needs come in at 40%, that is not a problem. That extra 10% simply flows toward your future. Now, here is the conversation most people need to have with themselves. Your premium phone contract. Want, not need. A basic phone plan that allows you to communicate and get to work. Need. Groceries. Need. Grocery shopping at a premium supermarket when a budget option is available. Want. Transport to work. Need. A car payment on a vehicle beyond what you need to get there. Want. This distinction is not about deprivation. It is about clarity. When you know what is a need and what is a want, you stop confusing the two, and that confusion is exactly what causes most budgets to fail before they begin. If your needs currently exceed 50% of your take-home income, the framework is not broken. It is showing you something important. It is telling you that your fixed costs are too high, your income needs to grow, or both. That is a more valuable piece of information than any spreadsheet can give you. The 50% is not a comfort zone. It is a ceiling. Number 3, the 30, your wants. The 30% is the category most budgets get completely wrong. Most budgeting advice treats enjoyment as the enemy. Stop buying coffee. Cancel your subscriptions. Stop dining out. Live like a monk until you are financially free. And for about 10 days, people try it. Then life happens. A friend's birthday, a bad day at work, a craving. And the whole system is abandoned because one moment of enjoyment felt like a betrayal of the plan. Short list rhythm, then a longer explanatory sentence. The 50-30-20 rule takes a fundamentally different approach. 30% of your income is deliberately, intentionally set aside for things you enjoy. Dining out, cinema and entertainment, clothes beyond the basics, holidays, hobbies, gym memberships, streaming services. The coffee you did not strictly need but wanted anyway. These are not financial failures. They are not evidence of poor discipline. They are a planned, legitimate, pre-approved part of your financial life. On a take-home income of $3,000 a month, 30% is $900. That is $900 every single month to spend on things that make your life worth living, without guilt, without justification, without tracking every item. The only rule the 30% comes with is this: when it is spent, it is spent. You do not borrow from next month. You do not raid the 20%. You do not put the overflow on a credit card. The 30% is generous, but it has walls. Enjoy everything inside it. Respect everything outside it. Number 4, the 20, your future, 20%. This is the most important number in the entire framework. It is also the number that most people shrink first when money feels tight. And that is the most expensive financial habit a person can develop. The 20% covers 2 things: savings and debt repayment beyond the minimum. Savings includes your emergency fund, retirement contributions, investment accounts, and any financial goal you are actively building toward. Debt repayment beyond the minimum means paying more than the bank requires each month, directing extra money toward your highest interest debt first, and clearing it faster than the bank's schedule intends. Here is the mathematics that make the 20% impossible to ignore. On a take-home income of $3,000 a month, 20% is $600. $600 every month. Over 1 year, $7,200. Over 5 years, $36,000. Over 10 years, $72,000. And that is before any investment return, before compound interest adds to it, before a single percentage point of growth. The 20% is not about deprivation. It is about redirection. You are not losing that money. You are moving it from your present self to your future self. There's one additional insight worth stating clearly. If you carry high-interest debt, paying it down aggressively is one of the highest return financial moves available to you. Eliminating a 20% interest rate is the mathematical equivalent of earning a 20% return on an investment. The 20% is where your financial future is built. 1 month at a time. Number 5, how to apply it and the mistakes that break it. Now let's talk about how to implement this in real life and the 3 mistakes that cause most people to get it completely wrong. Step 1, start with your take-home income, not your gross salary, the actual amount that arrives in your bank account after all taxes and deductions. Step 2, multiply that take-home figure by 0.5, 0.3, and 0.2. Write those 3 numbers down. Those are your monthly targets for each category. Step 3, review last month's bank statement. For each transaction, ask one question: need, want, or future. Total each category. Compare against your targets. The gaps will tell you exactly where to adjust. Now, the mistakes. Mistake number 1, using gross income instead of take-home income. If your gross salary is $4,000, but your take-home after tax is $3,000, your 50% for needs is $1,500, not $2,000. This single miscalculation throws the entire system off from the first day. Mistake number 2. Classifying wants as needs. A premium phone plan is not a need. A streaming subscription is not a need. Dining out 3 times a week is not a need. When wants are filed under needs, the 50% fills up instantly, and the 30% and 20% are left with nothing to work with. Mistake number 3. Treating the 20% as optional. This is the most common and the most damaging. Most people intend to save whatever is left over at the end of the month. What is left over at the end of the month is almost always zero. The 20% must be moved first. The day your income arrives, before rent, before groceries, before anything. If your bank allows it, set up an automatic transfer. Move the 20% to a separate account the day your income lands. When you never see it in your main account, you never spend it. The 50-30-20 rule does not require perfection. It requires consistency. Even if your first month lands at 55-30-15, you are already ahead of where you were. The direction matters more than the precision. Every financial journey starts with a decision to stop guessing and start knowing. The 50-30-20 rule gives you the structure to do that. It will not fix your finances overnight, but it will give you a clear map for every dollar, starting from the next time your income arrives. 50% for the life you need, 30% for the life you enjoy, 20% for the life you are building. That is not just a budget. That is a financial philosophy. Next week, we go further. We are going to talk about emergency funds. Why not having one is one of the most expensive financial positions you can be in, and exactly how to build one from nothing. If this gave you clarity, share it. Subscribe to keep building your financial knowledge every week. And if you have a question about how the rule applies to your situation, leave it in the comments. We read every one. This is Capital Explained. We'll see you in the next one.